What is up, guys? We are back with the Galint Melee Open Spring Edition, and I am Radar. I'm here with, I just jokingly said, but also seriously, that we're with the greatest Samus main of all time, Liquid Chillin' dude. Chillin', how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm not too bad. We've been seeing some pretty crazy matches so far. That Swift Aklo set in particular was funny, like especially when it cut to Dan like popping off. Always good to see people be passionate. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the bracket.
Yeah, for sure. That was actually, I've been a bit busy today, so that was actually the first set I got to see most of, and what a set to tune into. First of all, the link action you always love to
Yeah.
see from Hacklow, and then the reverse 3-0 basically was from Swift, wasn't it? So
Yeah, no, like it was a pretty crazy set. Anything that's like high energy or kind of unique, like I just am a fan of Swift's kind of play style, like his approach to Pikachu in general. It feels like very different from Axe. Like it takes like the good stuff and then introduces some of his own stuff. So that's always cool to see. And we're gonna have more of him in this bracket.
for sure. And it looks like Swift actually went to losers relatively early, so has had quite a run to get to this point. But right now, on the other side of losers quarters, we got Jflex and Chem starting up.
Yeah, and so far we have been seeing a lot of the kind of Fox Sheik matchup, and that means that Jflex is super warmed up. He was just playing Zuppy earlier, did not take that set, but it was very close, game 5. So I'm expecting this to be, pretty solid from Jflex's end, but Chem already showing us he knows the matchup really well.
Yeah, Chem, the main thing that I've kind of learned about Chem's playstyle through not only playing Chem and net play myself, but also just watching is a pretty fast-paced player, pretty technical, and I think that bodes really well in the Fox Sheik matchup in particular. Like, if any kind of flubs, any kind of tech mistakes are heavily punishable by Sheik. So if the Fox player has clean tech, as we're seeing right now from Chem, then it definitely works out nicely. And an insane 4-stock to 2 lead to start out here.
Yeah, we're really seeing that Chem is very familiar with kind of the flowchart, and I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, this is the kind of matchup where like you really don't want to give stuff to Sheik for free. Like, she can just, if you give her an inch, she takes a mile, and we're not seeing that from Chem. That's why the lead is as big as it is.
Absolutely.
Both players just looking for an opening at this percent. Sheik obviously kind of a little bit more limited. Crouch cancel still on the table. That's why we're seeing things like needles. Going to be looking for things like grabs. But once she kind of gets the damage that she's getting now, that's where she can really get a lot of mileage.
Yeah, for sure. But so far this has been all Chem, just not dropping stuff. And when Fox doesn't drop stuff in this matchup, then it makes it really tough for Sheik. That's kind of where Sheik thrives, is waiting for those slight miscues from Fox to create her opening sometimes.
Yeah, it really has been kind of a character that we've seen kind of have to evolve. Like Plup, in the past sort of 5 years or so, has really shown us that Sheik herself can be really fast and really kind of push the meta in that way. And that's kind of one of the only ways she can sort of deal with Fox, because kind of Fox sort of runs away with it if you don't kind of hit just as hard, if you don't hit those tech chases as consistently. And we're not really seeing that from Jflex yet. Like, Jflex doesn't have the really strong punish game, isn't really able to keep up with the speed, but I think there's still so much time to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, game 5 or 3 out of 5 sets give you that time to sort of warm up as the set goes on. But that being said, it was an extremely hot start for Chem, who just started right out the gate, has barely dropped anything tech skill wise so far, and obviously starting off with a 3-stock makes it intimidating for the opponent, to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those things where like there's so much kind of like emotions and like mental things tied up to it too. Like, if you get kind of rolled at the start, some players are really good at just being like, it's okay, it's the first game, who cares? But then in moments like that where Chem gets another stock, the lead kind of further slipping away from you, it's hard to kind of like keep it together. It's hard to sort of, you know, not start to get a little down on yourself. So I'm really wondering what's going through Jflex's head. And is it just F this character, man? Like,
it might be. I mean, with how this set has gone so far, I wouldn't be surprised if that's specifically the thought process right now. Because this has been brutal so far. Another 4-stock to 2 lead to start off game 2 as well. And this is Jflex's counter pick, so
I think
getting kind of out of hand already.
One of the things that like I love about Melee, and it's so timeless about Melee, is like you could have the most like technical, polished, like creative player, and you know one of them is just like some bullshit, man. Like I'm so tired of Foxes, and even the Fox player right now is like, I'm moving, I'm doing so well, and the Sheik is thinking like, I am working so hard for every opening, man. Like some things just don't change, and that's how Melee players think.
Yeah, and the coverage there was great from Chem to finish out that edge guard. Potentially working on another 3-stock, this time on Jflex's counter pick. This set has been extremely one-sided so far. We'll see if... Okay, that's a nice little break for Jflex. Might be what he needed to get something started.
Those are the moments where the player is saying like, okay, I can do this. You know, like an SD can all of a sudden be like wind in the sails of the player who's down, but that's not what you want to see. The chain... kind of a rare sight in 2022, to say the least.
Ooh.
Beautiful punish from Jflex.
Yeah, that was a great follow-up to even think to go for the down air in that situation, and then notice the DI afterward and go straight for that tipper up smash. Beautifully done.
And this is looking relatively even for so long. We were talking about, you know, Chem just having such a strong lead, and maybe is enough, like, you know, this is a bad situation for Sheik, but that was looking closer. I mean, it is 2-0 so far, but it's doable.
I think the momentum definitely at least started to build a bit in Jflex's favor, whereas prior to the end of that game 2, there was nothing. There was no wind in the sails to speak of. So I think if there's a chance of a comeback here, then the end of that game might have sparked something, a little something for Jflex, but so far it's definitely looking pretty brutal overall.
Chillin's face right now is like when someone's like, "Hey, does this outfit look nice?" And you're like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's nice, it's nice." That's what he's thinking about Kev's chances. Like, yeah, there's potential. So, I mean, you know,
Jflex could definitely bring this back.
Yeah, it's looking kind of rough, but again, we just saw Jflex play so well against Zuppy, who is like an incredibly capable player. So I think there is room to adapt. You know, maybe Jflex makes us a believer in this set. I hope we see that, because, you know, love to see good games back and forth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did he read the double jump back onto the platform and just have the grab out? Oh my goodness, this is getting brutal once again.
I think one of the things about Fox, like whenever you see a Fox player playing really well, Fox is kind of one of the characters that can really look like unstoppable, like just like so absurdly good. And then, you know, you see Fox get kind of rolled and you're like, wow, this character, I don't know, like it is a double-edged sword. But right now, Chem really making Fox look as kind of broken as the Redditors think he is.
Yeah, sometimes a glass cannon, but right now it's looking like all cannon for Chem. Yeah. This is another 3-stock to 1 lead. And this could be a 3-0 and a handshake here.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the fortune telling that we were doing earlier was not looking so good, and it is still not looking good. That is it. That is,
man, that was we were kind of wondering about these two players' history, and if that set was any indication, then I have to assume the Chem usually takes these. That was one-sided.
That definitely, people in the chat, if you know, let us know, because that was incredibly one-sided. And we're getting from production that 5-1 is the set ratio in Chem's favor. So that is kind of the story of their sets, I guess. Even though Jflex looks so good versus Uppy.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, is I think it just kind of goes to show how important not just matchup knowledge, but specific player knowledge is, right? And clearly Chem knows Jflex as a player pretty well, because he was just ready for pretty much every recovery habit that, there was some vulnerability from some of Jflex's recoveries, and we kept seeing the early shines from Chem. He clearly knows Jflex's style very well, and that led to a very one-sided set in Chem's favor. So nicely done.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just like, their momentum is like a fire that you just can't put out. Like you kind of, you play against someone who's playing really, really fast. One of your first thoughts is like how do I slow them down? And like for some, like I'm a Falco player, like I bust out the gun, I kind of like try to get some space, but I don't think has like the same tools to do that, at least in that matchup. And Jflex looked a little lost.
Yeah, it definitely can be hard in the Sheik Fox matchup in particular, I think, when you're getting a bit overwhelmed. There's not too much you can do aside from hope for a tech skill error, right? Something you can shield grab or something like that, and then try to maybe get a tech chase going and stifle some of the momentum. But I mean, with the way Chem was playing, it looked like there was so few openings for Jflex to even try to get something started. So definitely gotta gotta give it up for Chem there, just playing super well. Jflex obviously a great player, but that set was certainly pretty one-sided.
Definitely, yeah. Hopefully, we'll be seeing a little bit more variety from the bracket. I think, you know, like we already mentioned, that's probably a set that they've played more frequently. They, have some stuff that they're used to, but so far, like we saw a lot of best of fives just prior to when Chillin hopped on. So I think we're going to continue to see a lot closer sets, and I'm definitely looking forward